Hello, everyone. I'm welcoming to this class the FYU GP second semester English core students. And now this is English core paper 2, forms, genres, and concepts of English literature. Now we are actually in the middle of things. That is, I have already had a couple of classes, online classes earlier. In one of those classes, I started the novel as a narrative, this topic. Now in that class, I gave you an introduction to the novel. Now I'm continuing with it. Today, we are going to discuss the evolution of the novel, the origins and the evolution of the novel. We are going to discuss developments which carried the germs of the novel. Now, from our introduction, we know a few things about the novel. We know that it's a prose narrative, it's an extended narrative. We also know that it is realistic, though fictional. Then we also know that the novel's characters are individuals rather than types. So these are some of the characteristics of the novel that we already know. Plus, we know that the novel proper developed in English literature in the 18th century. There were certain causes, factors that led to the development of the novel in the 18th century. Factors like the rise of literacy. Now, for the novel to develop, you need a public that is literate. For the drama or poetry even, you don't need a literate public. Poetry can be recited and enjoyed by a group of people, and the drama can be drama is enacted. So you can see it, you can watch the drama and enjoy even if you are not literate. But for a genre like the novel, you need a literate public. So in the 18th century, there was this rise of this literacy. And hence, we see the development of the novel. That was one of the causes, one of the factors responsible for the development of the novel. Then there was the advancement in printing. So printing technology, we know in the 15th century itself, Johann Gutenberg in Germany, around 1440s, invented the printing machine. And in 1476 in England, William Caxton established the first printing press. Since then, there have been incremental developments and advancements in printing technology. By the 18th century, it was possible to print a large number of books in an affordable price. That was one of the causes for the growth of the novel in the 18th century. Then that printing itself was part of that development of what is called the market economy. To write and publish a novel, you need a system in place, the market economy, the publishers, the advertisers, the booksellers, and that developed as a result of the general development of capitalism in the 18th century itself. So this establishment of a market economy is also important in the development of the novel. Finally, we know that the novel depicts characters that are individuals rather than types. And hence, the society itself in the 18th century was growing into an individualistic one. That was a factor responsible for the growth of this kind of a genre that depicts individual characters. The novel primarily presents characters that are individuals in an environment who are fighting against nature and society for adapting. For that is this struggle of the individual is depicted in the novel. So these are some of the characteristics, characteristics of the age, factors responsible for the growth of the novel in the 18th century. So one by one, they are: number one, growth of literacy; number two, growth of printing technology; number three, individualism, growth of individualism, and then the growth of the market economy. That is how the novel grew in the 18th century. But nothing comes out of nothing. The novel has a long history, actually. It evolved out of certain similar genres. Now we know that English term novel itself comes from the Italian word novella. Though today, of course, novella means a prose narrative of middle length between the short story and the novel. In the 14th century, in Italy, developed short prose tales like Boccaccio's Decameron, which were called novellas, sorry. From that term comes the English word, the novel. Now, in the other European languages, what is called the novel in English is called roman. So that word comes from the word romance, the romances, the tales of adventure. So both these are influential factors in the development of the novel. The novella of the Italian literature, and then the romances. These are important landmarks in the development of the novel. So today we are here trying to trace the development or the evolution of the novel. Now the novel is a narrative. Now the other narratives were there earlier as well. The influential narrative, of course, is the romance, which is a tale of adventure. We know it is a narrative. Like the novel, the romance is also a narrative. It is a telling. But there are differences in characters. In the romances, the characters are more typical than individuals. Then the romances are incredible tales, unlike the novels, which are realistic. But they have an influence on the novel. Now, prose romances were there in Greek literature in the 2nd and 3rd centuries AD itself. So we can go back to that time actually, as far as the origins and evolution of the novel is concerned. Then in medieval Europe, we had the verse romances, first in France, then in other countries, including England. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight and other many romances were there. Those romances are an important milestone in the development of the novel. Then in the medieval period, there were also other narratives, but they were verse narratives, like the ballads, like the Robin Hood ballads. The influence of the ballads cannot also be ignored as in the development of the novel. So the prose romances of Greek literature, medieval verse romances of Europe, then the ballads of Europe. Then in the Elizabethan age, there was again the development of prose romances, like John Lyly's Euphues, Sir Philip Sidney's Arcadia. These prose romances also were influential in the growth of the novel. Now in the 16th century, late 16th century and the 17th century, there developed a kind of a prose narrative which is very close to the novel. In fact, today we call it one kind of novel called the picaresque novel. It developed in Spain first, then came to England as well and other countries. Picaresque novels deal with the Picaro. Picaro is a rogue or a rascal, a wandering rascal. It is his adventures that are dealt with in a realistic way in the picaresque novel. And these picaresque novels, the example in English is Thomas Nash's The Unfortunate Traveler. Now these or the Life of Jack Wilton. Now these picaresque novels were a very important milestone in the development of the novel proper. They were episodic and realistic. Now, in Spain, these picaresque novels were mainly satirical of the romances. For example, we have the masterly Don Quixote by Cervantes. Such works played a very important role in the development of the realistic genre called the novel. So that was in the 16th century. Then in the 17th century, we had what I call the characters. Character is a literary genre. Now, those characters were written in the ancient Greek literature as well. Theophrastus is famous for his characters. What are these characters? They are short, witty sketches of certain types of characters. In the 17th century in England, people like Hall and Sir Thomas Overbury, they wrote characters. Then at about this time, we have people like Aphra Behn and John Bunyan. Aphra Behn's Oroonoco and John Bunyan's The Pilgrim's Progress. They are very close to the novel. Now we are coming close to the development of the novel. Of course, in between, we cannot forget the 14th century, as I said, the 14th century novella in Italy. That also plays a part in the development of novel. Now we are in the 17th century characters. Then comes the 18th century. In the 18th century, we had the development of the periodicals, the periodical essay. For example, Addison and Steele's Coverley Papers. They are very important character studies, which is an important element of the novel. The Coverley papers are a very good, what is that called? Influence on the development of the novelistic genre. So by now we are in the 18th century. In the 18th century develops the proper novel. You can say Daniel Defoe's novels are more the picaresque kind, but still they're novels. They're realistic. They have verisimilitude, and they are called Robinson Crusoe. In fact, is called the first novel of incident. Then we have Richardson's Pamela, first novel of character. Then we have Henry Fielding's Tom Jones. We can say the perfect novel is developed now by the 18th century. So this is the long line of development or evolution of the novel. So and then we saw certain stages. So prose romances of of Greek literature, then medieval verse romance, ballads, medieval ballads. They are in verse. They're incredible, but still they are an influence because they are narratives. Then comes you know the prose romances of England itself, then the picaresque novels of Spain, and then Europe, other countries of Europe, including England, then the characters of the 17th century, then Afraben and The Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. They are important milestones, landmarks in the evolution. Then we have 18th century periodicals, which are very great character studies. Then finally the 18th century novels. So this is the long line of development. So this was a outline view of the development of the novel. Add this to our previous class on the introduction to the novel. You will have a 360 view of the novel as a narrative. So I hope this class has helped you. We shall continue with this kind of online classes to support our offline classes. So bye for now. Thank you.